Hello everyone, welcome back to Mr. Wiggles Educational Facility. Today we will be testing some of the sweet weapons in Alpha 17. We will also look at some of the mods and some of the more, wacky things you can do. We will look at damage numbers and other few interesting things. So, let's just jump straight into it. So, the day is finally here. We are looking at ranged weapons today, and there's a few surprises, well, not only just in the numbers, but also in some of the testing we're gonna do. In the last video, I kind of presented the shooting range. Turns out we don't really need that. I did test all the numbers on all the weapons before starting to record this video. Actually, I did so like 2 days ago, but my voice sounded like Darth Vader for some reason, so yeah, I had to kind of scrap that and redo it. So I'll basically just give you guys the conclusion of all this, but I will show you a few interesting things. The first thing I want to show you is not exactly, what weapon does the most damage and what are the multipliers and whatnot. I mean, I have a spreadsheet for all that, and I will link that in the description, but I want to show you something, because we know, let's just get Mo in here. We know that the zombies, they tumble down once in a while and they get up again pretty quickly. And I haven't been able to find any data on this, when do they tumble down? And I found out that pretty logically, when they reach around 50% of their max health, they tumble. So right now we can see that Mo is at health 300. So let's just do a bit of damage to him and keep an eye on the number. So let's shoot him once in the head. 263. Like one more shot to the head. 226 and a third one. 189. I want to start out by a number ending in 9, because I know when I punch him with my fist, it does 10 damage. And his start health was 300 damage. So I want to go to 149. So let's just punch him in the sack. I also found that sometimes this is a bit glitched. So he went down at around, 140. But I mean, 140 is around the half of his health, so... but for the sake of it, let's just do it again. So, first of all, a couple of buffs to the head. And a third one. So, now we're at 189. Let's punch him. In the sack. In the side. Now we're 169. One time in the sack, and 159. The next punch should knock him out. There we go. All right. And just to show you that this number is actually quite consistent, let's just give him 3 taps to the head. Leaves us at 189. 1, 2, 3. 159. Next one, he falls over. There we go. So when the zombies do fall over, you're taking away around half of their hit points. So yeah, just a bit of basic information there I wanted to give you guys. You're welcome. But before we get into all the spicy numbers, which you can also find in the spreadsheet, I am going to present the weapons that you don't need any specific levels or skills to make, and we will go over the skills in a few minutes. So the wooden bow. You can craft that, in your hands, in your backpack. It's one of the starting quests. I think most of us know the wooden bow. The compound bow, you do need a skill for that, but the crossbow, you don't. The crossbow you can build kind of straight up when you find a workbench. And we also have the famous Blunderbuss. I'm not sure how famous it is, but I mean, you can craft that pretty quickly when you find a workbench. It's not that effective though. It takes a really long time to reload, and it's basically not that great. You know what? Let me just show you guys exactly what I mean. So here we have the Blunderbuss. It is nice. It shoots. And it takes for fucking ever to reload. There we go. But I mean, you can put mods on this thing. So, but then again, the mods you can put on it is kind of, the hunter is good for, killing animals and whatnot. But otherwise it's sights and stuff like that. And it's, I don't really know. It's, who needs a scope on a fucking Blunderbuss? Cripple him? Yeah, might be good. But I mean, the arrow section is probably a lot better. But yeah, the blunderbuss, you can craft it if you want to. I don't recommend it. But let's have a look at some of the skills. Now, I did level my character a bit here because I wanted to test out the blueprints. And I can confirm that when you use a schematic, it only produces one item. You can't have one schematic and make 2 items. You can't learn the schematics. They are now used in the crafting table. So once you craft said schematic, it disappears. Not sure I like that, but that's how it is. The skills you need. This get a bit hairy. I will recommend you to look in the document I listed down below, because I made kind of an easier overview as to see where you unlock what and what level you need to be, instead of clicking back and forth in menus. I put it all in one single sheet, so it's easier to just take a glance at. But to make the compound bow, you need to have advanced engineering level 1. That requires intellect 5. Intellect 5 requires player level 30. So yeah, you unlock the compound bow at level 30. Hunting rifle, pistol, shotgun requires advanced engineering level 2. You get advanced engineering level 2 when you have intellect 6. That requires player level 40. So no shotgun crafting until you're level 40. SMGs, AKs, Marksman rifle, and the Magnum, they require advanced engineering level 3. You can get that once you reach intellect 7. Intellect 7 requires player level 50. So now we're starting to get up there. And for the last kind of, yeah, we can call it a weapon. The rocket launcher. You need advanced engineering level 4. Advanced engineering level 4 unlocks on intellect 9. Intellect 9 is available at player level 80. So yeah, and that's also when you can craft the nail gun. So I don't expect the fun pimps to have people running around building huge spaces by the age of level 30. So yeah, just be aware of this. I will, however, say that if you find weapons out there in the wild, in the wilderness, you can maintain them. You can still repair them with repair kits, even though you don't have the required level to craft them. I am not in trying to inspire the fun pimps to fix that, because that would kind of suck. Even though there is a lot of weapons out there, I think that the schematic thing is difficult enough. Also with the new AI and things. I mean, down the road they might do it, but we also have to think about the new players who come to 7 Days to Die. And boy, it is difficult for the new players. So also difficult for some of the older ones. I've seen some videos out there, and myself for that matter. I've died a couple of times the first time I played Alpha 17. So that's how it is. But let's get into those juicy numbers. We will start out in the string section. We have the wooden bow, the compound bow, and the crossbow. And you are, again, free to, follow the document, follow along if you want to. The wooden bow and the compound bow, they're both pretty decent weapons. The compound bow does more damage. The crossbow, even more damage, and the velocity of the bolts is also higher, which means you have less of a drop. Now, the damage drop-off on these things, there is none. None whatsoever. So if you can headshot a zombie at 80 meters with a wooden bow and running a steel arrow, you would get 52 damage. So it's not too bad. And that is without the sneak damage of ×2. I also tested the flaming arrows. I mean, the kind of data we got here is not really very describing, because the fire does a lot of damage too. And what I found is that when you hit zombies in the head and the torso, yes, there is a damage difference, but it's only at 12%. When it comes to the flaming arrows, the fire creates the most damage, so it doesn't really matter where you hit the zombie. Also, it's kind of hard to aim with those arrows. Let me just show you quickly here. So here we have the firing arrow, and you aim down, you pull it up, and your view is blocked. Can't see shit. It looks pretty. Like fireworks. So the flaming arrows, I mean, they don't do a lot of headshot damage. However, the rest of the headshot damage in this section is around 48 to 50%. So if you headshot a zombie, it's kind of like 50% more damage, which is quite good, That's kind of the area I expected it to be in. The damage you see over here is body shots. And please keep in mind that the damage you see over here on the right when you mark a weapon is based on the ammo you currently have in that weapon. There's no way of viewing that like there was before. So just keep in mind that some of my stats might be a bit off because I have different ammo loaded into them. So just bear that in mind when you're looking at the different weapons. Consider what kind of ammo you have in them and how you actually, how you look at it. Now the crossbow. The crossbow is a bit interesting because it does, a decent amount of damage, but it's not a lot more than the compound bow. So the only thing you get from the crossbow is a bit of velocity, and I'm not sure if that's actually worth it. But I mean, if you have a problem calculating the arrow drop, sure, go for the crossbow. But if you're an eagle with a wooden bow, just go with the bows. It's a lot easier. And the different mods you can put on these weapons is listed down here. You can put a scope on the crossbow. That's very interesting. The hunter increases damage to living beings, so keep in mind that does not affect zombies. Zombies are dead. We know that, right? Cripple them. I like that. I really do. I mean, you just shoot the legs of the zombies. Pretty much do the same thing as you do with the ghouls in Fallout 4, right? Okay, let's look in the 9mm box. We have two weapons, the pistol and the SMG-5. Be aware that it has been renamed, the SMG, to SMG-5. Now, these weapons, they do have an effective range, which means that if we look at the pistol, we can see the effective range is 18. That is 18 meters or 18 blocks. If you shoot at a target, at 20 meters, you would have a 2 damage drop-off. And I like that. I like that a lot. It makes you think about what weapon to use in certain situations. And the same thing goes with the SMG-5. That has an effective range of 30, so that's almost twice the amount of the pistol. But the damage is only 20, whereas the pistol is 25. So, I mean, the SMG has definitely a higher DPS, but the pistol, I mean, it's still pretty good, and it does more damage if you can land those shots. You can get different mods for them. The silencer, especially, I think is pretty good. You can also put, where is it, the burst, the full auto. You can put that on the pistol and get a full auto pistol. But I would definitely recommend the silencer for anyone. It makes it a lot easier for you to kind of navigate in buildings and whatnot and fire your weapons without waking up all the zombies. Because the zombies kind of act as a hive mind now. And both of these weapons need to be crafted at a workbench. I should also mention that there's two different types of ammo now. I believe in an earlier video I mentioned something about exploding bullets. I have to retract that statement because apparently I lied. I just believe I saw explosive bullets when I was in the mod menu, but I did not. So that's one on me. I'm terribly sorry about that. I will try to stick to better information in the future, but I mean, yeah, there's no excuse for it. I lied. I'm sorry. But there are two different types of ammo now. The 9mm round, which we all know is made of brass, but you can also make the casings of steel now. The only difference between these is a tiny drop off in the damage. I mean, it's 1 damage. And I'll be honest, the degradation thing, not too sure what that means. Maybe the ammo degrades over time. So, I don't know, rusty ammo, I guess? But I mean, that's why bullet casings are normally made of brass and not steel, is because steel has a tendency to rust and you don't want rust in your weapons. And keep in mind that on the SMG, you can still kind of see there's a picture of a silencer on it. But beware, it has been removed. This weapon is now noisy as fuck. So yeah, that's just so you guys know, it's no longer suppressed. But you can make it suppressed if you want to. And again, we have some pretty neat mods. Scopes are more efficient on these weapons than on the stringy type weapons. So definitely magazine extenders are useful here. Some of the trigger groups might also be useful to you, but I mean, it's a personal preference. I won't recommend what kind of mods you put on your weapons. We all have different needs and applications for it. Next up, 7.62. We have the hunting rifle, the AK, and the marksman rifle. Now, the marksman rifle was called the sniper rifle before. It has been redone. Also, this, is pictured with a scope on it. It does not have a scope by default. It's what it looks like now. It looks more like a proper rifle than something out of a cartoon. Now, in the 7.62 class, the hunting rifle does the most damage. The Marksman rifle follows very close though. And I did test all these weapons on the range as well. I had to expand the range a bit because it only went up to 60 meters and the Marksman rifle is effective at 70. The hunting rifle goes up to 60. The AK goes to 50. So all these weapons are technically very good at range. You don't often target zombies more than 50 meters away. Let me just show you how far that is. So you see that guy out there? You see the Mo? That's 50 meters away from here. How often do you aim at targets that far away? Not very often. So let's just do that. And just to give you guys a reference, that is the Marksman rifle distance, okay? That's 70 meters. That's pretty far away. But I mean, with a scope, you could do it. So it's not going to be a problem. But just keep in mind, you don't often engage in those distances. So the Marksman rifle, you can also put a full auto group on that. A trigger group. So, oh boy. But when it comes to range, Marksman rifle is the best. The hunting rifle comes in second place and the AK in third. Damage-wise, hunting rifle is best. Marksman is second and AK is third. But the AK is full auto by default, so keep that in mind. And again, these weapons, they have different ammo. You know, we have the normal brass ammo and the steel ammo again. Again, we see a small damage drop-off on the steel ammo. It's still pretty decent. I mean, 2 damage and drop-off is not bad. So if you have a problem finding brass, just make a bunch of steel rounds. But be careful about the degradation. Not sure how that works yet. And the mods you can get for these things are, of course, as always, the lovely suppressor or silencer. I always had a problem with that word. Silencer, it's a suppressor. Anyway, and you get the other usual goodies. But on these weapons, you can also mount biparts, which increase aimed accuracy. So for something like the Marksman rifle, that would be a really, really good thing. Whereas a laser sight might be a good thing on the AK, not so much on the Marksman rifle. But again, it's personal preference. I won't judge. People will probably have a field day about these things anyway. So keep in mind all these weapons need to be crafted at workbench as usual. And let's look a bit at the MISC box. This is kind of a clusterfuck of weapons. Well, not really clusterfuck, but the Blunderbuss, we don't really talk about the Blunderbuss anymore, do we? Range damage is 6, but compared to the shotgun, that has a 100, right? So Blunderbuss, not that good. But when we look at these shell ammo weapons or pellet ammo weapons, we also need to look at the ammo itself, because it has 8 pellets and they do 6 damage each. So if you hit with all 8 pellets, I mean, you do 8 times 6. Same thing goes with the shotgun shells, except they do 7 damage per pellet. Slugs, however, are pretty superior. And if you look in the document listed below, you can also see that the shotgun slugs do 150 damage on a headshot. That's pretty decent. And the Blunderbuss actually is up there in the damage range, along with the normal shotgun shells. But I don't like the reload time on that thing. I have to be honest. And you can't really mod it. It's a good starter weapon if you don't find anything, but any shotgun messiah or gun safe will most likely have a shotgun or a pistol. Use the pistol instead of that thing. Jesus Christ. And keep in mind that these pellet weapons, they have a short effective range. That's also including the slugs. Once you get beyond those magical 7 meters, there will be a drop-off per meter. So keep it in mind. Maybe, you know, pair a shotgun with a barrel extender if you're going with slugs. Or a choke. I think they might have confused the descriptions on the shotgun choke and the dog bill, by the way. Just so you know. But on these weapons, on the shotguns, you can also mount silencers. I will get into that when we look more at the mods. The Magnum is good. The Magnum is real good. It's better than the pistol in my opinion. Even though it only carries 6 rounds, those 6 rounds, they have a hell of a kick. Again, we have 2 different kinds of ammo. We see a bit higher damage drop here because the rounds do so much damage in a single shot. And the range is 20 meters, which is a tiny bit better than the pistol. But again, how often do you engage targets more than 20 meters away with a pistol, right? The recoil is a bit bad on this, but it's doable. It's doable. Personally, I like the Magnum, and yes, you can mount scopes on the Magnum. What if you can make it suppressed? Let's take a look at that in a few minutes. Okay, last box that contains actual weapons. The boombox. It's pretty simple. You have the rocket launcher, again crafted out of workbench. We have got another type of ammo though, the rocket frag. The difference between these two is that the rocket frag has a bit larger explosion radius. Now I tested this out on a bear because there's not really a zombie that has more than 350 damage, except for carbs, and I don't want to test with carbs. I mean, it would send kind of a wrong signal. So I tested with a bear. Fuck bears. And my testing is actually a tiny bit inconclusive on this point. The rocket frag seems to be doing more damage, which would, kind of make sense. But the high explosive does the same amount of block damage. And the frag has a higher explosion radius. I mean, the amount of damage we see between these two are around 5%. So I wouldn't really say there's one good reason to go with one over the other. Except if you look at the crafting table, the rocket frag uses buckshot, whereas the high explosive uses the rocket tip. So, I mean, if you have a shit ton of lead, just make the frags. But the rocket launcher is not really that great, in my opinion. It's okay. I mean, it's fun to play with, but it's more like a toy, not really something you run into a building with, right? It is for defensive purposes. So the last thing I want to show you guys is some of the more silly things you can do with these mods and weapons. So I am just gonna go into the mod box, pick up all the mods, and we're gonna have a field day. So give me a second while I get all this in order and craft some funny weapons. Okay, as you can see, my tool belt is now full of weapons, but before we start the weapon test, let's get a bear in here, because I want to test this properly. So here we have him. He's mad, he's angry. Look at that face. Anyway, I want to test the weapons I made on him. So first up, we have the crossbow with a 4x scope on it. As you can see, when the reticle kind of settles, the focus changes. So now the focus is over here somewhere, and it's kind of above the reticle as well. So I'm not too sure what's going on there, but you have to kind of see that here you can see his face, and here you can also see his face, but in the middle it's kind of blurry at times. So not too sure what's going on there, but it works. And the reload animation is a bit weird. Next up, we have a suppressed auto pistol. And this is exactly what it sounds like. It shoots. Next up, we have a Magnum with a red dot scope and a flash suppressor. For some reason, the flash suppressor is not really showing on the weapon itself. But let's see how the flash is when we shoot it. And the bear died. Okay, have to get a new bear. I forgot about this. It's stuck in his eye. Great. Okay, let's get a fresh bear. So the Magnum, I mean, it's good. I love the Magnum. Just the kicks it gives you, it's beautiful. The reload animation is a bit weird. There's no sound. And this gun actually automatically reloads. So let's fire off these rounds just to show you once again that when this gun is empty, it's empty now, I click the fire button, it automatically reloads. So let me just show you that once again. Once this gun is empty and I click the fire button, it automatically reloads. But there is a small glitch in the matrix here as well, because if we zoom in and fire off the last bullet, I click the button, it does the reload animation while I still have the pistol in my hand, and once I stop aiming down sight, it does this, even though it was loaded already. So that's kind of weird, but it's still an alpha, so you know, I think this will be fixed in the future. So next up, we have a shotgun. Now this beauty has a suppressor and a 2x scope on it. The suppressor is a bit funky, and so is the scope, as you can see here. It's not really attached, but it works. So if we zoom in, It's really weird to zoom with this thing. But if we zoom in, that's how it works. Let's get another fresh bear in here. Don't tell Peter. So, back to the shotgun. You can see the muzzle flash is kind of above the scope. Not sure what's going on there. Another bear. But if we empty this weapon, I can't really see if it's doing the animation or not, but I can hear it's clicking. So once I unzoom, it starts to reload automatically. And if we empty it, unzoomed, no ADS. It reloads automatically. The next weapon is the AK with a magazine extender and again suppressed. Now you can see the magazine holds 45 bullets instead of the original 30. But it's still full auto and it is suppressed. There he goes. Oh boy, someone will start a lawsuit over this. Anyway, I think this is super fun because it has all that ammo and you can just go ham at Horde Nights. Not that I have tested any Horde Nights yet, but I mean, Jesus Christ. But let's just try to empty this weapon and see what happens. It's empty now. Click the fire button once and it reloads. So the whole thing with weapon no longer automatically reloading. Not doing too great. Still works. And if we aim down the side and we see the magazine. There we go. Click the button. Nothing happens. But it's kind of locked. Oh, there we go. Okay, so it reloaded. It just didn't show the animation. Boop. So the last weapon I want to show is the Marksman rifle. This thing is full auto and suppressed. But I mean, full auto with 5 bullets, it's kind of like non-alcohol beer, right? You start to get kind of excited, but then you realize what you're actually doing and you think, oh, why? Anyway, this is what it does. It's actually pretty powerful. So let's just try to empty the magazine while zoomed in. Okay, click the button. It clicks. It's not clicking anymore. And we have more bullets. All right. Does it click? And we have more bullets. Yes. Okay. If I unzoom, it does the animation. But it's preventing me from firing the weapon. So, I mean, there's definitely something about these animations that the Fun Pimps has to look at. But I am pretty sure all this is mod related. If you use the weapons without mods, it's not gonna be an issue. So let's just try that here, just to make sure that I'm not completely full of bullshit. Okay, unmodified Marksman rifle. It's empty. I click the button. It reloads. Zoom in. It's empty. I click the button and it reloads. And it does the animation still when it comes out of the ADS and I was not able to fire the weapon. Okay, guys, this was pretty much all I wanted to show you. I just wanted to give you a rundown of the weapons and see what kind of fun you could have with it. I also wanted to talk a bit about the numbers because I'm not sure if any of these numbers have changed or the feel of the weapons have changed that much. To be honest, I can't really feel that much of a difference except for the Marksman rifle. It all feels pretty much like the same thing. Looks a bit weirder, some of it. But I just noticed, look at the scope and behind me. Now, I believe that's the same effect they use in Call of Duty where you can kind of see what's happening behind you, who's running up on you. Oh, that's pretty neat. All right. Points for that, I guess. That's sweet. Anyway, I just wanted to show you guys the weapons and you know, the mods and how this works. Small disclaimer. Now, the weapons I use are level 3, which means you can put 2 mods on them. If you have a level 1 weapon, you cannot mod it at all. Level 2 gives you 1 mod slot, and so on. If you have a level 6, you have 5 mod slots. So, yeah, it's just something, you know, you should be aware of out there in the wild. So I am just gonna end it here. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it, and if you do have something that you want me to test out, please leave a comment and I will have a look at that. I hope you enjoyed whatever this was. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!